Troy University is located in a recruiting hotbed in Alabama, just south of Montgomery and near the Alabama-Georgia-Florida border. They've taken advantage of those recruiting grounds to build their program up over the past century, going from a Division II program to begin the 90s to ending the era as a FBS member at the turn of the century. Since their jump to the FBS, Troy has developed a reputation as a giant killer, with LSU, Mississippi State, Missouri, and Oklahoma State all falling victim to the Trojans. This is the story of how the Troy Trojans became giant killers. But before we get into this, if you enjoy college football content like this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, let me know what school you want me to talk about next in the comment section below. Troy would begin playing football in 1909, but struggled to consistently field a team until 1946. They would deal with a lack of participation, World War I, and the Wall Street crash in 1929, but since 1956, they have fielded a team every year. Under William Clipson, they would struggle from 1955 to 1965, going 20-68, but the arrival of Billy Atkinson would see their fate changed. Atkinson would lead them to the NAIA national title and went on to become the second winningest head coach in school history with a 44-16-2 record. Following Atkinson's departure, the program would return to struggling before the arrival of Charlie Bradshaw, who would go 41-27-2 throughout his Troy State career. Unfortunately, his tenure would end with a 3-7 season in 1981 and a 2-8 season in 1982. Then came Chad Gailey, who spent 2 seasons in Troy, Alabama, with his 1984 season resulting in a 12-1 season and the Trojans lifting the Division II national title. Following their successful 84 campaign, Gailey would leave Troy State to become an assistant coach in the NFL. Troy State would return to struggling, going 13-17 under Rick Rhodes and Robert Maddox, and things were seemingly going in the wrong direction for the Trojans football program. That was until the arrival of Larry Blakeney. Larry Blakeney would become Troy football for his over 24 years career at Troy, leading them from the Division II level to the FCS level, all the way up to the FBS level. Blakeney played quarterback at Auburn in the late 1960s and started his coaching career at the high school level in 1970. In 7 high school football seasons across 3 high schools, Southern Academy, Walker High School, and Vestavia Hills High School, Blakeney would go 50-24-2. Before joining the Auburn coaching staff in 1977. He'd work his way up from being the offensive line assistant coach to eventually the play caller in 1986. While at Auburn, they would go 110-50-3 and win 4 SEC titles, as well as go 6-2-1 in bowl games. Though would be run out of town in the wake of the Eric Ramsey scandal. He would be named the 20th coach of Troy State on December 3rd, 1990, when they were still a Division II program, and would coach them through their transition to the Division I AA level, which was announced a year after his hiring. In 1991, they would go 5-6, but rebounded to go 10-1 in 1992, their last season as a Division II team. While most schools struggle through the transition from one level up to the next, Troy State would do the opposite, finding immediate success going 12-1-1 as an independent and finishing the regular season as the #1 team in the nation according to TSN. They finished the regular season 10-0-1, making it the first full season Troy State went unbeaten during the regular season. They would lose in the semifinals of the Division I AA playoffs. They would follow that up with an 8-4 season in 1994 and an 11-1 season in 1995, where Troy State would lose in the first round of the playoffs both years. The 1995 season would be the first time in school history where they would go unbeaten and untied during the regular season. In 1996, they joined the Southland Conference and immediately won the conference with a 12-2 record, made it back to the semifinals of the playoffs. 1997 would be the first year under Blakeney where he would not make the Division I AA playoffs, going 5-6 but returned in 1998. They would win the Southland Conference in back-to-back years in 1999 and 2000 with records of 11-2 and 9-3. They began their transition to the FBS in 2001, ending an 8-year run at the Division I AA level, where they would go to the playoffs 7 times and won the Southland Conference 3 times. It was an incredible run for a team that had only just transitioned from Division II. From 1999 to 2002, Osi Humaniora would play for Troy State and would speak on Blakeney saying, "Coach Blakeney is such a very down-to-earth person and a great teacher who I love. No matter who replaces Blakeney, they'll have some big shoes to fill." With the move to the Division I-A level, Blakeney would become the second coach in college football history to take a team from the Division II level up to the 1A level, and they would make an impact almost immediately as a 1A program. Throughout Blakeney's time at Troy State, later becoming Troy University in 2004, the school would develop a reputation as a giant killer, with their first win over Goliath coming against Mississippi State in 2001, when they traveled to Starkville and beat the Bulldogs 21-9. They finished the 2001 season going 7-4, with their 4 losses coming to Nebraska, Middle Tennessee, Miami, and Maryland, all on the road. They would also have notable wins over Louisiana Monroe 44-12 and North Texas 18-16. 2002 would see the program take a step back with a 4-8 record, their worst season under Blakeney at the time, before bouncing back with a 6-6 record in 2003. In 2004, they would join the Sun Belt Conference, and Blakeney would lead the team to their biggest win in school history. In week 2 of the season, Troy would host number 19 Missouri and found themselves down 14-0 at the end of the first quarter on national television. Missouri was led by Brad Smith, who was a star after a fantastic 2003 season and was in the Heisman contention at the time. On their first play on offense, already down 7-0, Troy's Aaron Leak would throw an interception. Halfway through the second, Jason Samples would connect with Jermaine Richardson on a 27-yard double pass to bring Troy back into the game. Junior Lassane, an offensive lineman, would then pick up a fumble and take it 63 yards for the tying score. 1 minute left in the half, Troy would hit a 43-yard field goal to take the lead. Although Aaron Leak would finish the game completing only 7 of his 20 passes for 94 yards and 3 interceptions, a late passing touchdown to Jason Samples would lead to them winning the game 24-14. The defense, led by Pro Football Hall of Famer DeMarcus Ware, would shut Missouri out for the remaining 3 quarters, forcing multiple fumbles, forcing Smith to throw 2 interceptions, and the special teams also came in clutch with a blocked punt. Punter Thomas Olmstead also came in big, pinning Missouri on their own 2-yard line and their own 3-yard line another time in the 4th quarter. At the end of the game, Lee Corso would say, "How many BCS teams are going to want to come play in Troy?" Oh yeah, the broadcast crew included Mike Tirico, Lee Corso, and Kurt Herbstreit. Troy would become the first team in the Sun Belt to ever beat a top 25 team, making it not just the biggest win in school history, but also one of the biggest wins in conference history. Troy would finish the season 7-5 and lost in the Silicon Valley Bowl to Northern Illinois 34-21. 2005 saw Troy take a step back, once again going 4-7, but they would use it as a launching pad to take the program to the next level. 2006 saw Troy go 8-5 and win a share of the Sun Belt Conference title, their first conference title at the FBS level, and they would beat Rice in the New Orleans Bowl 41-17. In 2007, Oklahoma State decided to travel to Troy, not learning the lessons from Missouri, and the Trojans dismantled another Big 12 team, beating the Cowboys 41-23 to secure their first win of the season after losing to Arkansas and Florida on the road to start the season. They would use the Oklahoma State win as a launching pad for a 6-game win streak that was snapped in Athens when they lost to Georgia 44-34. They would win a share of the Sun Belt Conference with an 8 record, with their only other loss coming in the regular season finale to Florida Atlantic, and would be left out of a bowl game. 2008 would be Troy's first outright conference title when they finished the year 8-5 and lost to Southern Miss 30-27 in the New Orleans Bowl. 2009 saw the Trojans win their second straight conference title before losing to Central Michigan in the GMAC Bowl 44-41. They would finish the year 9-4, going undefeated in Sun Belt Conference play. 2010 would see Troy fall short of upsetting Oklahoma State once again, losing to the Cowboys in Stillwater 41-38, but they would finish the year 8-5 and win a share of the Sun Belt Conference title and beat Ohio 48-21 in the New Orleans Bowl to win their second bowl game in school history. From 2006 to 2010, Troy would win or a share of the Sun Belt Conference title every year and played in 4 bowl games while playing a gauntlet of a non-conference schedule against SEC and Big 12 teams. All good things must come to an end, and after 3 losing seasons in 4 years, Larry Blakeney would decide to retire with a record of 178, 113, and 1. To put how successful Blakeney was at Troy heading into the last season, he had 175 wins, while the other 10 Sun Belt coaches had a combined 99 wins at their current jobs. Blakeney would also be heavily involved in the community, and while there was struggles at the end, it was truly a historic run for a school that was not known for doing too much winning before his arrival. Former player Zach Yenzer spoke on his former ball coach, saying, "He's a great coach and a great mentor for me growing up. Anytime I've needed anything, I've been able to call him. He's been able to help me. He's a great man. He took the program from a really small-time program, what it is now, which is big-time college football." While former Troy All-American and NFL player Leodis McKelvin said, "It's rare to come across a man in the business of football, and college football is a business, like Coach Blakeney. He is part of a dying breed as the way he treats people. I was originally a walk-on, and he had no clue I'd be the player I ended up being. but he gave me an opportunity and stuck with me. Under Blakeney, Corey Robinson broke multiple school records, while Spring League great Brandon Silvers would break Sam Bradford's 2007 Oklahoma NCAA record for completion percentage by a freshman as he completed 70.5% of his passes. Blakeney would finish as the fourth winningest head coach all-time in the state of Alabama at the time, behind Bear Bryant, Cleveland L. Abbott, and his former ball coach Ralph Shrug Jordan. The man chosen to replace Blakeney would be former Troy offense coordinator Neil Brown, who had since spent time with Texas Tech and Kentucky before returning to Troy. The program needed a jumpstart after going 4 years without a winning season. Troy's athletic director at the time, John Hartwell, explained, "I wanted someone that could be a jumpstarter, and I know that's kind of a different term. But with the success that the program had experienced in the 3 or 4 years prior to Neil getting there, some of the energy and passion in the program had dissipated. I wanted someone who could jumpstart that again." The Trojans were coming off a 3-9 season and a combined record of 17-31 in Blakeney's last 4 seasons as head coach. Brown having roots at Troy was a big deal for Hartwell, and they loved how he understood the big picture. Neil had an MBA from UMass and thought like a CEO, while also being a great recruiter. On December 1st, 2014, Brown was officially introduced as Blakeney's successor. The then University of Kentucky offensive coordinator won the job, beating out reported candidates such as LSU's Frank Wilson, East Carolina's Shane Beamer, and UAB's Bill Clark. Neil immediately bought in, getting heavily involved with the community. Year one's goal was to improve every day, and while they finished the year 4-8, there was a lot of hope back in the town at Troy. Players bought in and wanted to revive the program back to the days of being viewed as a giant killer. After opening the season with a 57-17 win over Austin Peay, the Trojans put up a strong fight against number 2 Clemson in Week 2. While Troy lost a close one, 30-24, the game had a tremendous impact for the program. Troy refused to back down against the heavily favored Clemson team, the same Clemson team that would finish the year 14-1 and beat Alabama in the national title game 35-31, led by Deshaun Watson. Troy would go on a 7-game win streak and found themselves ranked in the AP poll for the first time in school history. It would sadly lose the following week to Arkansas State, 35-3, but finished the year 10-3 and made it back to their first bowl game in 6 years, going on to win the Dollar General Bowl 28-3, beating Ohio. While they would lose their season opener to number 22 Boise State, they would return to their giant killer status, going to Death Valley and upsetting number 25 LSU en route to a 4-game win streak. They finished the year 11-2 and won a share of the conference title, while also winning the New Orleans Bowl. While they were projected to finish towards the bottom of the Sun Belt in 2018, they would instead finish 10-3, making it to the Sun Belt Conference title game, losing to App State 21-10, winning the Dollar General Bowl once again, beating Buffalo 42-32. 19 days later, Neil Brown was named the head coach of West Virginia, finishing his Troy career going 35-16, leading the Trojans to 3 straight double-digit winning seasons, the first time in school history, and 3 straight wins in a bowl game. The man chosen to replace Brown was Chip Lindsey, who rose up the ranks mainly coaching in Alabama at the high school level and having multiple stints at Auburn, being their offense coordinator at the time. Lindsey was the quarterback coach at Troy in 2010 and grew up in Madison, Alabama, playing collegiately at North Alabama. Many hoped Troy had struck gold for a third time, but the Lindsey era would instead be a nightmare, as they would go 5-7 his first season, followed by back-to-back 5-6 seasons, leading to his firing. Some wondered whether Troy was past their golden years, but the arrival of John Sumrall would prove that that was not the case. Sumrall grew up in Huntsville, Alabama, and was the assistant head coach, linebacker coach, and special teams coordinator at Troy from 2015 to 2017. He arrived via Kentucky, his alma mater, where he spent the 2021 season serving as the school's co-defensive coordinator. Sumrall would find instant success at Troy, leading them to a 12-2 record in the Sun Belt Conference title in 2022. The Trojans would beat number 25 UTSA in the Cure Bowl 18-12 and finish the year ranked 19th in the AP poll. Last season, they went 11-2, beating App State in the Sun Belt Conference title game 49-23, and earned a bid to play Duke in the Birmingham Bowl. Before they played in the Birmingham Bowl, it was announced that Sumrall was leaving to take the Tulane job, shocking some, while fans were not so surprised. Sumrall brought back hope to the Trojans program, leading them to breaking attendance records last year with over 26,000 fans attending home games. Troy alumni Wesley Modling told WDHN News, Sumrall is a guy that galvanized a fan base that was not so sure about was a place that was lost, and he got us back on track. WDHN wrote a few months back, a lot of fans saw his departure coming when Sumrall won his first Sun Belt Conference title and led the Trojans to a 10-win season in 2022, but some fans thought they survived this coaching cycle until Friday's news came out. Some names linked to replace Sumrall were Bill Clark, who, after retiring from UAB due to back issues in 2022, got the itch to coach again. Tommy Robinson, Jordan Leslie, Alex Atkins, and DC Defenders head coach Reggie Barlow, among others, according to The Athletic's Bruce Feldman. Instead, the job would go to Gerald Parker, Notre Dame's offensive coordinator. Parker became the first coach to be hired, not having grown up in Alabama or having ties to the school beforehand since at least the 70s, as every head coach since Charlie Bradshaw either grew up in the state or spent time either playing for the program or coaching the program, and even Bradshaw grew up in Alabama. I just couldn't confirm where Bride Wingham was from or his career before taking over as Troy's head coach in 1974. Del Pettis, Troy's safety in 2023, spoke on the hiring saying, "I saw a guy ready to get to work, and that's something when we spoke to our athletic director, Brent Jones, that we wanted to make sure we got in a new head coach. Nobody expected what happened with Coach Summerall. We definitely wish the best of luck to him because he's done nothing but provide for this program and the university in Troy, Alabama. Coach Parker comes in with a great attitude. He's talked to us numerous times since being here. Really stood in front of us as a man and talked what he expected, what he wants to do, and how he doesn't want to change what Troy has been. I got a lot of respect for Coach Parker. He stepped into the role and has taken it in stride, making sure he's been clear and upfront with everybody. Troy would lose to Duke in the Birmingham Bowl 17-10, but will hope to continue their success they found under Summerall under Parker this upcoming season. Heading into the 2024 season, they are projected to come in 4th for the division, only returning 4 starters according to Phil Steele. They'll be replacing quarterback Gunnar Watson, who threw for 3,569 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. Former West Virginia transfer Goose Crowder, who backed up Watson last season, is expected to be the starter this year. What do you think? Can Troy continue to be a giant killer and stay as one of the top teams in the Sun Belt? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out one of my other videos YouTube thinks you will love right here. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, remember to embrace the grind.